Hello, I'm Andrew Hara, the host of the Mom Squad. I wanted to tell you about my movies. All are available on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. The last one is a zombie drama about how a pandemic and isolation could drive a group of people mad. When the virus hits, John finds himself alone and scared until he meets Michael, his protector. But when Karina, another survivor, enters the mix, everything that John and Michael knew will be turned on its head. The last one's a zombie virus movie that's somehow even more relevant today. Plus, it has zombies. Check it out. Borderland is a mexploitation film about living in El Paso. When Sarah finds herself in debt to the cartels, she has until sunrise to find some missing monies with the help of her executioner. Borderland is a true midnight movie and a lot of fun. Finally, the documentary Humble Spirits tells the story of the Hahn family, including champion Jennifer Hahn from El Paso, Texas. The entire Hahn family has grown up in the combat sports and has helped shape who they are both in and out of the ring. Humble Spirits, a family of fighters, is the perfect documentary for boxing fans of all ages. Check out Tubi to watch all my films. And now, let's start the show. Hello, and welcome to a special Friday or Saturday morning edition of the Bomb Squad. If it's being released on a Friday or Saturday, you know that one thing is happening. It's a podcast exclusive of a new release. And we're playing an even specialer game called Let's See If We Can Outrace Andrew's Edible before he finishes the podcast.
You start slurring all of your words. Yeah,
I'm gonna be like, wait, what? The fucking alien? Is that real?
Yeah.
And also we got all the boys back together.
Wow.
This should be fun times. Although I guess from your perspective, you have only heard us because we haven't done guests yet. But anyway, it's fine. So today we have a very special movie. We have 2022's Prey, the next sequel in the Predator franchise, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, written by Jan Trachtenberg and Patrick Aizon, and starring Amber Midhunter, Dakota Beavers, and pretty much those are the only two. There's a lot of other people, but they don't. It's a Predator movie. You know what's going to happen today.
Mid Thunder, not Mid Hunter.
Mid Thunder. Well, she's also a hunter.
That's her role.
That's right. Movie. Yeah, and she does not play. That's not her name in the movie. So Josh, give us a brief rundown of what this movie's about.
A young Comanche woman runs afoul of a
predator. You cannot start talking while you start scratching. Because I cannot take that out. And if it's the plot synopsis has to go into the video form.
Let's try this. Okay. A young Comanche woman runs afoul of a predator.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. So this is what is this? The fifth movie of the Predators? Because you have Predator 1.
1 and 2, Predators.
And then the Predator.
And then the Alien versus Predator 1 and 2. So this is
7. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's the third good one.
Before we jump into our opinions, I love the Predator. I really like part 1 and part 2. I kind of like Predators. Also, I was gonna say, well, I'll finish, and then the Aliens versus Predator. I don't like those movies that much. What are your guys' ranking, or like, what do you think of this series?
I mean, Predator 1, obviously a classic. I haven't seen Predator 2 in so long that I might as well have not seen it, probably. I think I saw whichever Predator had Adrian Brody. And I didn't see the one that was made by, I think, did Shane Black make one? Yeah, I didn't see that one. But number 1 is awesome. The one that had Adrian Brody was like, okay. I don't remember too much from it. That's about all I've got.
John? Did you see the Aliens versus Predator ones?
Oh, yeah. I saw those like in junior high, and they were okay at the time. I wasn't really too aware of either franchise that much.
Yeah.
Josh?
I think, first Predator, classic, 10 out of 10 film. That don't change a thing.
Yeah.
Second one, I liked, but I almost feel like The second one's almost like a great cast, and it doesn't quite like get there as a movie. I don't know. It's like flawed but good,
It
and I
doesn't live up
Hmm.
almost
to its expectation.
yeah, and it's kind of like it's been diminishing returns ever since. Like the Alien
Right.
vs Predator movies are just pretty like bad, whatever, just
Yeah.
straight up horror movies.
Right.
The Shane Black one is almost worse when you know he made it because you're like, well, you wrote the first one and it was really good. Why did
Well, he didn't
why
know.
did
See, he didn't write the first one. He just did touch ups.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
okay?
That's cool though.
yeah, and
He's
so
in
like
it too, right?
yeah, he's the first guy who gets killed with the glass. And the reason that he
Oh, what?
plays that character is because they wanted him to do touch ups on the script, but they had already started filming, and so they were like, "Oh, just come on board, and then you can do touch ups while we're filming." So that's why Shane Black is in that movie. And Shane Black, in case you didn't know, is a "Geez, you got a big pussy" guy who
Yeah.
keeps telling the bad jokes.
Oh, that's so
And
funny.
He's the only one who doesn't have like a bicep bigger than a normal person's head,
to
basically.
connect it to his new movie, the new Predator that he made also doesn't have any jokes. It's just full of bad attempts.
Mm. So was it pretty
Yeah.
bad? Like,
But
was it pretty foul? The one that he made?
oh, it is like I don't like to disparage films, and
Sure.
this is the whole point of this podcast. But it is one of the worst films. It
Dang.
almost feels like he wrote it as a joke or ironically, and it just doesn't mesh at all. It doesn't like fit the Predator franchise. It doesn't fit like his own thing. It's just like this weird in between. It just doesn't work
Huh.
on any level.
Predators is also like not good. I don't know. It's a good cast, and then you're like, you did nothing with this like premise, and
Well,
that
with
was always my problem.
Predators, yeah, I remember watching it and I didn't like it at all. And then I watched it. Oh, and then I read a bunch of Predator comics, and I was like, you know what? Predators isn't that bad in
Yeah,
comparison.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
better than like Alien versus Predator Requiem or whatever. But I'm like, what's the scale we're judging these on?
Yeah. And so like that is the thing for a long time, even Predator 2, like they were all built on this scale where they're like, well, yeah, it's not that bad, but they've never been like great, especially in comparison to the first one. So there's a lot to build up for this movie. But okay, so now that we've kind of gone over the history of it, what did you guys think of this film?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I thought like I was pretty excited for it. I thought the trailer was really cool. I thought that it was like cool how they were kind of marketing it and like not putting Predator in the title really. And I
Yeah.
thought it started off pretty good, but I think that what's like really hard is that like you have these, Comanche tribes out in the woods and you have Predator and it's like from what I know about Predator, he can like kind of pull off a lot of shit really fast. And I
Yeah.
feel like they were having like a really hard well, I don't know, for me it was hard to like believe that these people like stood a chance at all against Predator. And like I don't know, whenever they were fighting, it just kind of felt like they were like filling in like the action scenes with like space to like purposely not allow the predator to like get close enough to people or something. I don't know. It kind of
Yeah.
felt like it was too hard for regular people to fight the predator, and I couldn't buy it, and that kind of hinges the whole movie on that, in my opinion, which kind of makes it hard to. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I walked away from it feeling like I didn't really watch a movie in a way. I felt really
Yeah,
strange about it.
I definitely get that feeling. I liked it, but yeah, I do have a lot of caveats onto that, like that I
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah.
Like it's good, but well, and yeah, to speak on that, they kind of like set up that this predator like will let them get real close to them before he like attacks because he's kind of taunting them, which is
Yeah.
cool, but also it does kind of feel like I feel like when I saw the trailer, I thought it was gonna be a lot of like her fighting the predator in the woods and like getting the upper hand. But a lot of the
Right.
scenes are just kind of like the original Predator, but with like Native Americans. But the problem is in the original Predator, they had giant machine guns. So it would make
Right.
sense that the Predator would stay away or that, like they could clear some time and some ground. Where in this one, he could literally kill them at any time.
Yeah.
What I
Like
kind of
from
I
the
took what
second
I
one.
took that to be, and I did note that too. I was like, well, obviously, if he flew his ship to Earth, he should have all the same stuff, it's like as
Yeah.
the other predators. But it almost seemed like, oh, he's like deliberately not using like laser plasma. So, it's like, oh, he's doing this on purpose to like give them a chance,
And
almost like.
Yeah.
there was a little bit of his creature design where if you look at it, especially in comparison to the other predators, it definitely seems like it took place in the past for him. Because like
Yeah.
in the original Predator, they have like the big laser shoulder mounts that shoot real fast. And in this one, he has like a laser mount and then he pulls it out of his like where his claws are and he shoots a
Like a
dart.
bolt
Like
Yeah.
kind of
bow and
thing.
arrows.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
then like that's how he gets it, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But then he also has one of the cool things he has is this time he has like a shield,
Oh
which is
yeah.
pretty cool. It's a little bit
yeah.
ridiculous, but the Predators always kind of are. Oh,
Yeah.
and then and like just in case you haven't seen this franchise, the Predators are an alien race who come to Earth to just kind of hunt the best predators or to hunt humans. And so they're not like aliens. They're not trying to kill you for food. They just want to kill you for fun. So and I like so and it starts and you see like the predator coming down and I guess the implication is that this is the first predator because a lot of the movie is spent watching the predator hunt other predators. Like there's like one of the scenes which I think this scene was supposed to be like kind of dramatic, but it came off a little bit ridiculous where like there's like a bug crawling on the predator's like invisible body because the predator can turn invisible, and then
Yeah.
like a rabbit gets it, and then like a snake gets the rabbit,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
I like it's like a
predator
nature
gets it.
documentary kind of like they're like, oh, you're just
Yeah.
like, and I
Yeah,
almost like I
a
feel like that
rabbit
was
isn't gonna
intentional.
stop for a snake. Like if
Yeah.
he knows a snake is nearby, he's not gonna stop for a bug.
Yeah.
No,
What's
he's fucking around. That's
yeah.
his life.
And
Got a lot of
yeah,
time on his rabbit hands.
and then there's like another scene where he hunts a wolf, and then he hunts a bear, and then he eventually gets to the humans. So there is that like there's that progression of him hunting animals, which I thought was cool, but also it comes off a little bit like silly because when I see hunters, they don't like start off with little animals and work their way up.
Yeah.
That's not how
So
hunting
are you
works.
are you saying that like so this is like the first time the predators got to Earth, and so by doing that they were like forming kind of like an inventory of like who the
Yeah,
apex people
He's
are?
like taking
Okay, I see.
stock.
I see.
like let
I
me
think I
hunt
mean
this
I don't know
one.
if that's like definitive, but it does make
No.
sense.
They
Yeah.
like it's implied, but I don't think they wanted to make it a definitive answer. And
Gotcha.
so,
Okay.
in the midst of that, you have like the main characters, and you have Amber Mid Thunder, and she's playing Nararu, and she's part of this Comanche tribe, and she wants to like, she's at the age where she can be like, she has to like do this ceremony where you have to hunt something that'll hunt you, which
Mhm.
again is a little bit on the nose.
I
Um,
know, for sure.
but and
Which
like
is
this
kinda
is
cool,
the
but kinda
thing.
schlocky at the same time.
Yeah, which I liked, but it's also like, oh, what could this
I
be?
know.
And like, I liked her acting. I liked her character because she's stubborn. Like that's one of her character traits, and I
Right.
like that they make her like that. And I like that it's consistent the whole time.
Mhm.
Um, and it really adds to like, oh, she has to grow as a character because she wants to prove that she's just as good.
Right,
Um,
she has the raw talent, but she just hasn't really figured out how to, like, put
There's also
everything
kind of a
together.
gender roles thing. They're like,
Right, right.
her mom's like, why don't you be a gatherer
yeah,
instead? It's
"Come
not that
on, your
bad.
medicine's so good."
yeah, you're so good at being a doctor. Well, and see,
Yeah.
that's one of my. It's not a complaint, but it like this movie does a very good job of establishing that she's stubborn. She like her brother is like kind of the alpha of the tribe,
Mhm.
and so she wants to be like him, but she also wants to prove she's her own person. But they
Right.
keep hammering like every conversation for the first 40 minutes is some guy telling her she's not good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little
it's a
heavy.
lot of that. You know, I do kind of wish I knew they weren't going to do this, but because at the very beginning, when they first start, it's just all in Comanche, like when they're talking,
Yeah.
and then they start talking to each other in English. I was like, oh man, I kind of wish they had the balls to just have it be fully in a language like nobody speaks. You
I
Well,
know?
they
know.
did they
That'd be
did
so
dub it
cool.
in Comanche. You can watch it in Comanche if you want.
Oh, see, I looked for that, but it only gave me the options of English and Spanish. They're like,
Oh,
Hmm.
maybe they haven't done it
they're
yet.
like, you're too white for this option. You're not going to do
Yeah,
it.
sorry, sir.
So,
Yeah.
it's
You put in
just-
you put in
This option has
Comanche
been
and
reserved.
yeah, they're like, don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're not reading all those subtitles.
And so
That'd
yeah,
be
and
cool.
Yeah, that is cool, and it is cool that they did that, even if Hulu's streaming service is up. But yeah, so they have good characters. I really like the brother character because
Yeah, me too.
they didn't play him like they could have played him as a dick. That's Dakota Beaver's character, and but no, he comes off as like he never seems to be annoyed with her, even when she's kind of annoying.
Yeah, he's
He's
totally zen the whole time, no matter what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it makes 100% sense that he would be the alpha of the tribe because like he never gets spooked. He's always kind of like aware of his surroundings. Which again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But
Right. And then he's also like whenever he mentions like there's I don't want to spoil anything, but like he uses some of Naru's advice at some point in the movie, but it's like he's humble enough to like recognize whenever he might not have all the answers to, which is
yeah,
like a great leadership, type thing. And
yeah,
I love that his line whenever he was talking about how it's not about hunting, it's about survival, which I feel like really goes into the theme. Like I thought her brother character was like really really integral to the film. He was really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I was surprised
And
by that. I
it is
honestly thought
cool to.
he'd die right away.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cool that he's like yeah, he tells her that line that William just said, where it's not about hunting, it's about surviving, because it immediately like sets a dynamic between the predator, who's literally doesn't give a shit about, like he's just taking their heads, he doesn't use any part of their body, and then the tribe who's like uses everything, and they don't like to kill things unless they absolutely need to, and so it does
Right.
kind of set up that ideology uh, debate, even though it doesn't really go into it after that scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it kind of would
so
like touch on stuff like that and like not really go too full into the mysticism of anything or like I don't know. It kind of felt like I don't know. I kind of thought that this movie could have been like longer in a way. Like
yeah,
it kind
yeah.
of felt like there were parts that like maybe got like cut out, which I feel like how
To
like a
trim
lot
it
of these
down.
movies,
Yeah.
yeah, like
I
Netflix movies and Hulu
appreciate
movies, they all
keeping it
kind of
under
feel like
two,
that.
though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
A tight 90's not bad.
I saw The
yeah.
Gray Man. It was 2 hours and it felt like 4.5. So,
Oh yeah, I heard that wasn't great.
No, it's not very good. Um, well, and that's the thing. Like, and again, I don't even think they needed to add length. But like I said, so much of the opening is them like hammering home that the rest of the tribe thinks like the gender roles thing, and it's like once you establish that, we kind of understand. And also, if you have any idea of how the past works, you kind of have an idea of
Yeah,
how
yeah,
that works. So, like, yeah, I definitely think they could have spent more time, like, with like understanding the tribe and getting to know like more of the tribe, as opposed to like just constantly reinforcing this main ideology point, which they don't really like. It's not like it really comes into play, other than to show that she's not taken seriously as a hunter, but
yeah.
that's about all they do with it. Like it's not like the predator thinks that she's, you know,
Yeah,
like,
and she still
the,
gets to go on the trips. Like, whenever she wants to go
yeah,
hunting, like, she still just goes, and no one stops her.
yeah,
So it's, like,
they're
not that
like
big of a
dicks
deal.
about it, but they're like not like really big dicks about it. They're like, I mean, all
Yeah.
right, we'll make comments the whole time.
Right, they're just, like,
yeah,
super passive aggressive.
yeah.
"Okay,
They're
I
just really
carried you
bitchy.
home."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's the one who sees the predator ship at the beginning, and so she's the one who kind of has um this idea of that there's something else out here, because she keeps getting these hints that there might be more. Like she finds a snake head or the skin
Mhm.
snake, and then she thinks she sees something or she hears something.
Yeah, the
That that that,
Thunderbird, she thought she was
that
the
snake
Thunderbird
was
at the
still
beginning.
alive,
Yeah.
by the way. I was like, wait, was the predator skinning people alive? Jesus.
No, well,
Yeah.
no, because a snake, like the body will still move even after you've cut off its head.
That yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Like you
buy
haven't
it.
seen that video of like the frog legs that are still kicking even though they're just frog legs at a Japanese restaurant?
Oh, just like a
I
muscle
haven't.
twitch, muscle spasm
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
That sounds awful though. I would not be
It's
able to
real
partake
bad.
in that.
That's why I've never eaten frog legs. It's just not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
No
And
tanks.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, and so eventually and then the tribe runs into a French colony,
Yeah.
I was a
which
little suspect on
yeah.
this
Were they in Canada?
because,
Were
well,
they
I don't
what?
know. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly where in like the continent they are, and I'm sure I know French people were around then, But this also felt like, you remember The Revenant, where
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah. There were so many Revenant vibes for this whole
yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah. Like
Absolutely.
and I feel like it's kind of a cop out to be like, hey, like, there's like in The Revenant, it was like, oh, the white English people are bad, but the French are really bad. I'm like, no, the English did much worse. Like they did much worse. This
Yeah.
movie kind of does it again, where they're like, oh, let's make them French so we don't offend like the American audience. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure that that's the thinking, but it kind of felt like to be like, well, we don't want them just speaking English because
Well, and I
then it'll
also
be
felt,
terrible.
yeah, to that same kind of degree, I felt that there was a little bit of like, I know I signed up to see like Predator versus Comanche tribe. And so to
Yeah.
add in this other element, it felt like, well, we can't have the Comanches do the whole movie. We gotta add someone else. Like
Yeah.
it just felt weird. Like I don't know if it was a marketing standpoint, like you can't just have a cast full of Comanches. You need like Americans or like white people. Or if it was like they just didn't have enough story there. But it definitely feels like
No.
a bit
Just
of a
kind of
cop
tacked
out.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot all about the French people until just now.
Oh, really? That's like the best. Well, okay, that's
Well,
the tricky part because I think that's like the best action scene where he
yeah.
just kills like 30 of them. But it also
Yeah.
is kind of
That
like, well,
one's
why didn't he just kill like 30 of the Native Americans? Like, it's like, why is he effortlessly killing all these people,
yeah.
in
Yeah.
one scene and then he's like, can't fight two of them at the same time in like the next scene? I don't
And
know.
see, I think that that's one of the hard things about the Predator, because in the original, and it's something that a lot of the sequels forget, the Predator hunts you one by one. So he kind of tries to get you alone and tries to like get so it's only you that he's picking off. Where in
Yeah.
every other Predator sequel, there's always a scene where the Predator just jumps in and kills a bunch of people at the same time. And it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't really do that. But
He's been
on the
practicing.
yeah. But on the other hand, it was the coolest scene in the movie.
Yeah, there was the part where
Yeah.
he like put the fan or the shield up to like someone's head, then like turned the shield on and like blew the guy's head off, which was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that
Just cut it
that's
off. Yeah.
literally the scene that I'm talking because that part
Yeah, yeah.
once he because you see him do the shield and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool that he has a shield, and then he like grabs a guy and does the shield again, so it cuts off his head, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, never mind, that fucking
Fucking
rocked.
badass,
He
yeah.
also does like this sort of like the net that just gets smaller and smaller, like
Oh,
cuts you
yeah.
up. I'm like, oh
That
god,
was
that's
crazy.
horrific. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
he had
well,
that
what
net
have you
in
done?
Predator. He has that net in Predator too, but we've never seen it go all the way where it turns him into a
Mm,
ball of mush.
Yeah, I
yeah.
just thought it was like electrified or something. They're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, but no, it
Keeps on
fucks
going.
you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But I
full
did
body
I did
compost.
enjoy that scene. I just feel like they could have used white like British colonials and
Well,
done
I
a
see.
little bit more.
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
could have used another tribe if they had to bring in a whole group of other people, or just like
Yeah.
done that with that. Like I don't know, and like they capture her, so it does make sense in the story because you find out that they have an idea that there might be a predator, and
Yeah.
so they're kind of been hunting it, and they kind of run into this tribe and they grab her, and so they know that she kind of figures out that there's a predator, so they're trying to get any information out of her. And while they're trying, like while the tribe is trying to rescue her, that's when the predator comes and murders everyone.
It's also like a
Yeah.
weird scene after that where he's like killed like almost all like the French colonists, and then one of the guys whose like leg got cut off is like, "Oh, I'll tell you how to use a pistol if you like heal my leg,
Yeah.
or like tend to me." But it's like, I feel like she could have just like watched them and learned how to use a pistol. I don't know. That was a
Yeah.
weird bartering scene to me. Like it's like, I feel like she wouldn't need these instructions if she just saw someone do it, and she was like watching. I don't know. That was a weird character beat for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I could see
Yeah,
that for sure.
it definitely
Yeah.
was.
Something else too about just like, having these different tribes of people and just like the people in general, like the tribe back at home,
Mhm.
like I never really felt like they were like in any danger. Like I didn't really feel like there was like any
Yeah,
danger in the movie except if you were like literally fighting
openly
the
engaging it.
predator. And
Right.
it's like I feel like in Predator 1 it was like they were army guys and they could pull shit off, but I still felt like really worried about them the whole time. And but like in this one I felt like the first like when they break into act 2, it's just like Naru going through the forest and like kind of getting caught in some like natural traps, like
Yeah.
not even like really fighting their predators. So it was kind of like I feel like it took like a long time to like really kind of get anything going. And at least in Predator 1, they like go and like blow up a whole warehouse. But in this one,
Right.
they just kind of like were just kind of hanging out. It kind of felt like for a lot of it.
That does, and I hadn't thought about that until you brought it up. But yeah, that is an important thing because in the original, like you said, like the whole first half of the movie is showing Arnold and his group being a bunch of badasses. So it would make sense that like once like you understand how deadly the Predator is because he's just like getting through these guys who are supposed to be the best. But then
Right.
also it shows a clear motivation of like they don't attack the Predator first. The Predator just decides to attack them because he wants to kill them. Where in this
Yeah.
one, I don't remember. Like I know he goes after the bear and the snake and the wolf,
Hmm.
but I don't really remember why he starts going after the people. It just kind of feels like they're just all in the same area and they just kind of fight. And if the tribe or the French people can get out of that area, the Predator won't really follow them.
Right. It was like
Yeah,
weird
and
landing on the
they kind
Predators.
of do. Like the rest of the tribe like has left at that point.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it is weird. I don't know, and it's also I mean it's also almost a problem is that Predator. It was like the best of the best, like elite special forces, like with Arnold as the leader, like the greatest action hero of our age, and then it's just like well. You can't really go up from here,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
tough for any sequel.
yeah.
Right. That's
And I
true.
feel like it kind of makes sense what James Cameron does in Terminator 2 because Terminator 1's like very much like a slasher film, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
And so James Cameron like knew like, oh, I can't do the same formula because it's not going to be better than the movie I already made. And I feel like
Right.
that's a little bit of the problem with the Predator movies is that this is like, I mean, if you take it beat by beat and you like remove all the descriptors, it's almost the exact same movie as Predator,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Predator is perfect. And so like
Right.
they like the way they establish the characters, the way they have the action, it's all really it's done so well. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to not compare this to the original when it's constantly doing the same things.
When they even like he even says like if it bleeds we could kill it. I'm like,
Which
come
I did
Yeah,
on.
like
yeah,
that. Yeah, no, I like that part.
Of course you did.
yeah.
Because they're tied up, and he's like, "If it bleeds, they could." And I knew he was gonna say
Right.
it too. That's why I loved
You know what part I
it.
actually liked is the I think he only does it once in this movie where he does the like sick predator jump land into frame.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
It reminded me because in Alien versus Predator 2, he
that's the
will
only.
literally enter every scene. He does it like
Oh,
8 times.
nice.
He'll just it's like, are you just finding tall things to leap off of to
Yeah,
Yeah.
jump into the sea?
there's like a
Uh,
part where they cut to him and he does it like to introduce him, and then they cut away, and then they cut back, and he does it again, even though he's in the same location.
Yeah. He's a hobbyist, man. He likes
Yeah,
jumps. He likes to fight multiple people now.
that's why
He's
he
really
dies
growing.
because he's not playing along. He's just skipping through the town.
he's
Yeah.
parkouring all over the place.
Yeah.
He's just a free running predator.
Yeah. And so, and like again, and that's another thing. I don't know. I feel like the hunting aspect of this movie was a lot better done than the actual action scenes. Like the action scenes. Maybe it's because of the score, and maybe again, like this one is my fault. But I wanted to hear the original Predator score because it's like so famous, and so
Mm,
this score was just kind of that generic Marvel like sound in the background type of score, and I just kind of
yeah.
was. It didn't help the action, and so I was just you're just kind of watching what's happening, and when the action isn't filmed that well, there was a lot of like really big wides in the action for no real reason,
Yeah. Hmm.
and a
Yeah.
lot of the best scenes, like the shield scene, were done in a close up. So it's like what looks cooler. I don't know why we keep cutting to these giant wides.
Right. And and I think one of the wides was like there was a part where the predator came down and Naru was like hiding behind a tree,
Yeah,
and then like the predator like aimed his laser at the tree and like it shot bolts into it, and then like Naru kind of like looks around the tree and like sees the bolt and like acts really surprised, and it kind of felt like it was supposed to be kind of like a weird Pirates of the Caribbean moment where like a sword hits a wall and like you look at it and you're all scared because it came like really close to your face, but it's just like these bolts just like hit a tree and it didn't really matter, but it was like they were trying to like make these kind of action moments happen that I thought
yeah,
like getting like lost in like how
Yeah.
they shot it. Like it was like too hard to kind of follow exactly what
right.
was going on during those scenes.
It was a weird. Yeah. There were some.
Yeah,
There was one. So there's one part during like where he's killing all the colonial French, where I'm like, I can't tell if this is framed like this deliberately to make it a joke, but they all try to shoot him, and then it doesn't. It's like he
Oh
walks
no,
over
that
the
was a
shield,
joke.
Oh
and then they
yeah,
all like just stand there
try
slowly
to reload.
reloading their guns. It's
That was
like
the only
Yeah,
good time. Yeah, they
that was
used the
funny.
I
watch.
did laugh out loud. I was like, would you be running in the other direction,
Yeah,
terrified? Yeah.
Yeah, but I just like the idea that like in that moment you're reminded how long it took to like load one of those
right.
revolutions.
Yeah,
It's
like
So
like
so
that
fun
was
like
stressful on a
good.
that.
battlefield. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, and see that's the thing is like I feel like there's a lot of good in this, but like it's just kind of it's not even like oh, but there's a lot of bad. It's more like there's just like a lot of like why did you do it this way when you could have done it? Like I know you can do some cool stuff. Why aren't you
Yeah,
doing it all the time? Why are you saving it for specific times? You know?
yeah. It felt like rushed. It felt like
Yeah,
Yeah.
incomplete or something. I don't know.
and I
Well, it's
don't.
like, it's funny we had that, like, because we talked about Riddick, which I don't know how these air in or out of order, but
Yeah, it
have we
has
talked
not
about
come
it's
out. It's
like,
coming out this Wednesday, guys.
oh,
Oh, nice.
exciting. I'll listen. Kidding. But no, like, how we talked about, like, oh, Riddick, it's like, it would have been so cool if it's just him surviving on this, like, savage
Yeah,
planet for the whole
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
But then they're like, no, we have to have the movie have other characters in it. And this almost felt the same, where it's like,
totally.
it's
hmm
kind of cool when she's hunting. And then they're like, no, we got to put, like, white people in it with guns. And
Yeah,
it's like someone's like, no, you have to like make it have like more of a plot than just someone alone in the woods. Like, nah, you don't. You could have just done
yeah,
that. That would have been
and
fine.
right. Because I feel like they were like trying to do something where it was like there was the part where the brother was telling Naru like, if you kill the mountain lion, tell the mountain lion that it's his time to go. He's got to leave. And it's kind of
right.
like this like weird communication barrier between like the hunter and the prey. So it's like obviously the mountain lion can't hear what a human says, and then like a human can't hear what a predator says, and then the French people and the Comanches can't hear each other. So I felt like there was kind of like this communication theme going on, but I couldn't really ever figure out where that was like trying to go. Like it seemed like they were like setting something up with that, but because you didn't have any, like we were just talking about, you didn't have any like subtitles for the
Right.
French people. They just spoke French, and so it was kind of like this language barrier is going to be important, which I guess it kind of was. But it felt like they were like trying to get to a bigger point that maybe I just missed. But I
See,
thought
and
that was going to go somewhere, like just some kind of like big thing to say about communication. Maybe I don't even really know what I'm trying to say.
no, I agree
Yeah,
with
I
you
get
because
it. It's almost like it's like a hat. It's kind of a theme, but it doesn't. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of feel like, and maybe this is just because I just saw Nope, but like I feel the same way where I was looking for a theme in this movie, and there's really not one other than like believe in yourself and
Yeah,
like don't let men get you
yeah,
down. But
right.
and like that's
Survive, don't
fine,
hunt.
yeah, and those are good themes. Don't get me wrong, like fighting
Yeah,
patriarchy or
totally.
whatever. That's a cool theme. But this movie, like I said, like by the end of it, she hasn't learned. Like
Right.
it hasn't come into play the gender norms thing because the predator does not give a shit what gender you are.
Yeah.
And
I
so
also
like
I'm still not really sure. Oh, go for it. Go for it.
oh no
Sorry.
no go ahead.
I was just gonna say I still don't even really know how she pulled off that last like stunt.
Yeah,
Like
Oh
well,
yeah, it
and
was
let's
I
like
knew
she
it happened,
figures
but I
out
was like,
that
what?
like her medicine lowers your body temperature or it can't see you, and that's kind of how
right.
it's like she like stays hidden from
Oh,
it.
right, right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right,
Now I
right.
don't know if it would actually lower your body temperature that much where you'd look the same as a dead body. That
Yeah,
seems like movie magic to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
yeah,
and
Predator
it's
yeah,
science.
it is kind of cool because in Predator 2, like in Predator 1, the Predator sees people like through his mask, he sees your like heat visions, and that's how he can tell who's who and who's where. And then in Predator 2, they like kind of figure out like, oh, you gotta if you cool your body, he
Yeah, they
can't
get like
see
cold
you.
suits.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then you like
Oh,
learn that the predators have adapted and now they can like change how they see you. And so he sees them again and he kills all of them. So it was kind of a neat thing that's like, oh, now we've gone back and like he can see you through heat, but it's kind of shitty like 200 years ago
yeah,
technology.
unreliable.
You know,
Yeah,
and I did hope they would have like, I don't like too many callbacks, but they never had the scene where it's looking at you with its like cool infrared vision, and then it takes off its mask and it just only sees red, which I thought was one of the coolest parts of the original
yeah,
movie.
Yeah,
Like it's just such like a bloodthirsty monster.
right.
It's just
yeah.
like
And
pure
See
they've
its
like,
never
oh,
face.
we've never really seen that image again of him of what the
I
predator's
know.
actually seeing.
Yeah,
Um, So yeah, but okay. So I want to talk about the finale because this is where I had the biggest problems. So if you want to, I would recommend seeing this movie, especially if you're a fan of the Predator. It's pretty cool. There's some hiccups along the way, but I liked it. What do you guys? Would you guys
It's
recommend
one of
it?
the best. It's one of the best since like the second one. I think like it's better than every movie that's come out since Predator 2. So
Yeah, William.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say it's definitely worth watching. Like it kept me entertained the whole time, even
it's
though we
also
had
one
the
of
questions that
the
we were just kind of talking about. Kill
Right.
scenes were cool, which is always fun. Atmosphere was cool. I thought I really liked the opening. That was really fun. Yeah, I would say watch it, even though there might be some things that you don't quite understand at the end.
also maybe
Yeah.
it's just me, but I do love like Native American stuff. I'm always like, oh, this is so cool. Maybe that's just
Yeah.
like me
Well,
as
and
a
I think
lame white person,
Yeah, no,
but
that's cool.
I
Yeah, you really don't
I
get to
think
see
it's
it very
because we
often in
haven't
movies.
that perfect. Exactly what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So yeah,
rare. So when it comes up, yeah,
so yeah, we all recommend it. So now we're gonna go into spoilers. So if you don't care about spoilers, keep listening. But if not, this is where you take a break. So okay, so the finale of this movie I had kind of a problem with because okay, so earlier in the movie, the girl she falls into like a quicksand type situation and she like gets herself out, and then
Yeah, yeah,
she like keeps that in mind, and so at the end she gets the Predator's mask, and in this timeline, like we said, his mask is a little bit more low tech, so it has three dots that the Predators all have, but it comes off of his mask, and then when he shoots, the mask follows the dots, or the bolt follows the dots, and so at the
yeah,
end she sets it up so that the mask is aiming at the Predator's head, and so he shoots the thing and it goes all around and hits the Predator in the head, and that's how he dies. But why doesn't the Predator know how his own equipment works?
I know. It seemed like that would be an easy fix for him. Like he could have just raised his
Yeah,
shield, like, he blocked like bullets.
yeah.
You know?
It was a little bit like he was outsmarted a little too easily. Um,
yeah. It felt like yeah, it's like you gave me a gun, even though I've never used a gun before. I do know which way to point it so I don't hit myself in the head. You know? So it was like
right.
I was just like, wait, and it just I don't know it because so much of the action is a bit underwhelming, and the finale is no different. Where it's like I don't know if you guys, but I was like, that's it.
Yeah, it was just over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt that it was also, and I understand why they didn't do it, and I don't like seeing animals die in a movie. But the idea that her like little like companion hunting dog was
right.
totally unscathed. It's
Yeah,
like,
just
I'm
fine.
sorry, the predator would have just killed that thing as an
And
afterthought as it was
Yeah,
chasing her.
absolutely.
yeah,
Like, it's yeah, it's I don't know. They almost made the predator a little too dopey at the end.
and like
Yeah,
it happens there. There's kind of like, and maybe this is going to what William was saying, where like
I
it
guess it
doesn't
did
feel
lose
like
an
a real
arm though.
movie. Because there's
But
like a part where the brother and the sister team back up and they like stop the predator, and then the predator is right in front of them, and he turns invisible. And so they know that the predator has turned invisible, but then they act like they don't know where they can't find the predator, but there's no urgency in like, oh, we need to get the hell out of here because he could be anywhere.
right.
They have like this long weird conversation where the brother's like, I this is where I end. And she's like, no, don't, like he's gonna sacrifice himself. And then like the predator barely does, like the guy doesn't even turn around, the predator just stabs him in the back. And it just felt
Yeah,
like,
just for maintenance.
oh, you've spent the whole movie building up what a badass this guy was, and he doesn't even get like the Billy's the one who like paints his face and then takes out the machete to fight the predator scene. It's literally
Oh
the
yeah,
weirdest death scene for one of the best characters.
right.
Yeah, I don't, and like
Yeah,
so much of the film feels like that, you know?
yeah. It felt like they were like just like building things up and just like it feels like they didn't really know if they wanted it to be like this like super sick like slasher action movie or if they wanted it to be like a character study, and it just kind of like they never really went off in like either direction, so it just kind of
Yeah,
felt like
it kind of
this like
straddles the
kind of
line.
clunky like
Yeah.
story going on with like kind of so action, and yeah, they just
right.
didn't really pick which one they wanted to do.
Yeah, and it's definitely carried by the characters because the characters, like I said, they're really good and the acting's great.
Yeah,
But like from the original Predator, like the whole again, like once they meet the Predator, there's the whole section where they're trying to shoot it, they're trying to like explode it. They have a minigun and they just can't seem to hit it. So Arnold has to figure out like how to stop him without like how to outsmart him as opposed to how to outgun him. And so like there's a part where he's
Right,
setting
right.
traps and like there's a part where the predator doesn't fall for a trap, which is one of the best scenes in the original movie. And this
Yeah,
movie just it feels like they keep doing the same things and then eventually it just works.
yeah. Like
So
they're gonna
there's
get out of
no
it no matter what.
yeah, so there's no real build or like excitement to like, oh well, eventually they're just gonna keep like throwing the tomahawk and it's gonna hit them, and it's like okay,
Right.
Yeah,
Even
it'll,
when the brother
yeah.
died, I was like, this doesn't seem dangerous still. Like he still seems okay.
right?
Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how, but
Which
I'm not
which
worried
is
about it.
which is weird because you would think like okay it would build up his danger levels, but it almost like starts with him being kind of dangerous. Then he's the most dangerous thing alive when he's fighting like 30 Frenchmen, and then he goes back to like kind of capable again. Like that
Yeah.
is kind of the problem, you know.
And I think
Mm.
maybe it would have made sense if he lost his mask and she's carrying his mask the whole time, so he can't really see. But they show him immediately get his mask back.
Yeah, he just picks it up off the ground.
Yeah, so like there's no real like, oh, well, why is he so damaged now that he's kind of acting like this? It's like, no, there's no real reason. He's just decided to do this time. He like decided to like let her go for no real reason. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like he
Yeah.
like landed on Earth and like didn't take a nap and just like started going.
yeah.
He's like, we'll figure it out. This place seems shitty. It's cool.
Yeah. If the
Uh,
predators are just hunters, this is definitely the divorced dad version of the predators.
yeah.
He's not really there.
Aim to commit suicide by Comanche.
yeah. He's,
You gotta
he's
like
like,
you gotta grade on a curve though. I mean, like if you had seen the Predator, you'd understand what a huge improvement this movie is over it. You
yeah.
know?
Oh
Well, and I
yeah,
think
that's
that's
true.
that is the hardest thing with like a movie, and and I commend the filmmakers for even attempting it, but that's the hardest thing about trying to make a sequel or remake of a perfect film. Like you
Yeah.
cannot get better than RoboCop or like Predator or Total Recall, or Citizen
Yeah.
Kane. I threw
I
that
kind
one
of
in
feel
there
like
for fun.
I recently just watched the newest Texas Chainsaw that's on Netflix
Oh
about like
yeah.
that little ghost town, and I feel like it was like the exact same thing where
Hmm.
it was just kind of like the death scenes were like badass, like they were so cool. There was some good atmospherics and like there were some funny moments, but yeah, it just kind of felt like this movie. Like it just kind of felt like how do you improve upon this perfect film like without replaying through the formula, which you kind of can't.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of felt like really similar to that, just kind of like it feels like a weird slideshow that kind of like hints back to a thing that we all kind of like in a package
Right.
that sort of works, sort of doesn't. And
Well,
it's
if you
just
want
kind
to
of a
hear me
really
and
weird.
Andrew's thoughts on it, check out episode beep. I don't know the episode numbers, but we did do an episode on it.
Oh, you guys did the
Yeah.
one that's on Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because we did them
nice.
all. Yeah, we did them all. You
Oh,
you got
gotcha,
spared from
gotcha.
that one.
Yeah.
That is a rough ride.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that is another franchise that has two good movies and then
Just
countless
a
terrible
bunch of other ones.
sequels.
Yeah.
And it's another one again. That's another one where it's like every sequel is just a remake of the original. And I
Yeah.
think
Right, right.
like, now that I know that William hasn't seen Predator 2 in a while, I kind of want to do that one maybe later. So I don't
Yeah,
want to
that'd be
talk about
cool.
it too much, but I will say like there's a reason that I like Predator 2 more, and it's not as good as the first one, but it goes a different way with a lot of the things, like with the tone and with the comedy and also this movie has that thing that like a lot of modern movies have where there's like no jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, although in this case it's like, with the Native American thing, that's kind of an excuse for it, I think. Like
What do you
it's like
mean?
Were they
it's
a
like
humorless
olden
people?
times and people are weird
Oh
about
yeah.
period pieces like
Yeah,
being too
no, for sure.
jokey.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I just wish they'd like gone all the way and made it totally austere, no English language,
I
Yeah,
you
no
know.
know.
French. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Or
French
like you could have the
people.
French, but almost shoot them like you never see any of their faces or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's just on like the edges of it. Not like she has like a full conversation with one. Like it's like just cut all that. Make it more like
Yeah.
they're like go
All
harder
mood.
into the
Yeah.
Revenant like vibes of just like endless wilderness.
Right. Let's
Yeah.
get Terrence Malick in here to do Prey
right.
2.
Damn,
We
Prey
I would
just
watch
2, it's
that so
coming.
fast.
Mickey Rourke is just like, I got cut out of this one too.
Did
Just
you
keeps getting
Did you guys know? I've never played it, but there is also like a 2008 or 9 video game called Prey about a Native American fighting aliens, but not like predator aliens, just
Oh,
generic
Yeah,
aliens.
I bought that from GameStop, and then I took it back the next day because it was kind of weird. But I do remember that game. I do remember
Yeah, it
that
was one
game.
of those, it didn't do well, but I was like,
Yeah,
it's funny that it's like one of the few other Native American heroes fighting aliens in media.
yeah. Well, and
yeah.
like it's so funny because when I was reading, I've read every Predator comic book for some reason, but there's this real good one, and it takes place in Africa, and it's almost this exact same plot. Like the Predator comes to Africa, and then there's like this lone hunter, and he's out on his like rite of passage hunt, and then he runs into the Predator, and he like
Oh,
has to go up against him, but like he figures out a way to outsmart the Predator using just his stick. And it's also like there's no dialogue in the whole comic, but also the comic's only like I think it's like 8 pages. So
yeah,
they're able to get away with that. Where this one, like it made me excited because they're very similar ideas of like this kind of
yeah,
primitive tribe going up against a predator. But this one, like I said, it just like there's not a lot of scenes where they're outsmarting the predator. It's more a lot of scenes where they catch the predator off guard.
yeah, yeah. I would say that's exactly what happened. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean again, like I'm always down um for like genre movies, and like this one's pretty good. Like I enjoyed it the whole time. I definitely wasn't
Yeah,
um
it is frustrating. You're like, oh, this could have like really been gold if like they'd
Right,
like
yeah.
just
right.
tweaked a few things, but it is good. I mean, it's definitely not bad. It's not the
No.
Predator.
Yeah.
You,
And
you're talking about how like the editing and the action scenes like kind of are like, oh, like what are you trying to convey? There's a scene in the Predator. It's Sterling K. Brown as the villain,
oh yeah.
the guy from This Is Us, where he like is wearing the Predator's like shoulder cannon thing, and like it's like a joke scene where he doesn't know that he's not using it right because he tries to shoot with it and it turns and accidentally shoots like through his head and like kills him, but
Jesus.
it's so poorly edited that it's like a half-second scene. None of us knew he died until we looked it up later, like
Oh no.
after we left the movie theater. We're like, was he not in the rest of the movie? It's like it's one of those movies where you're like, did they finish editing and shooting this? Like it
Right,
feels
right.
like a work print.
And
Yeah,
and
it's
Yeah.
William, he is a major character. Like he
he
is
is he is a
Oh
not.
no.
he is the main antagonist in the
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if halfway through Aliens, Paul Reiser just stopped showing up in the movie, and you don't have any
Yeah,
idea what
yeah. It's just like, well, yeah, he jumped out of the fucking
Yeah.
Frylock. I don't know what you want.
happened. Yeah. You just see him in the background, like kill himself or something. Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
that Predator felt. But yeah, no,
that's
and like
hilarious.
yeah, I love genre films. I thought this was a lot of fun. I just like it's almost hard because you want to like it more, and I think like it's that
Yeah.
thing where that's why this podcast is so fun because like talking it out, I definitely like you're able to kind of like figure out what doesn't work and what does work and why why it might not be as satisfying as you wanted it to be.
Right, right.
William, any last thoughts on the Prey?
Um, honestly, when it comes to these movies that are coming out only on streaming services, I hope that they kind of just get better. Like I feel like
Yeah,
that's kind of like a common complaint that you hear like all over the internet, and I think that no one really knows why. But I feel like this movie just kind of falls into that pitfall as well, where it's just like I don't know if it's just like the magic of going to the theater that is missing here, or if it's just like something is happening at all these like production companies where they're just like rushing stuff through. But I feel like this is one more movie that maybe suffered from I don't know having too much of an algorithm to see from like an audience and like
right.
not letting something be like a true vision maybe because that's how it felt. It felt like just a bunch of different ideas that no one could really agree on to like see something through. And I think that's my final consensus as to why this
Yeah.
maybe didn't work as well, even though there was a lot of stuff good that was going for it.
Well, and you know what? That brings up a very good point. And I wonder if, like, because clearly these movies are going through a little bit faster of a process because they're on streaming. And,
Yeah.
like, well, me and William are both, we've written scripts before. And I kind of feel like, William, you know how, like, you write a script and then you, like, oh, you're like, okay, this script is good. Like, it's good enough to show someone. And then you show it to someone else and they're like, oh, you know that there's, like, kind of a huge, like, plot hole in the middle of this, and it's
Right,
like
right.
you
You're like,
haven't
this thing
seen
supposed to
it.
be sucks.
Yeah. And you haven't seen it because you've been so like it's been so close to your chest that you need to show it to someone else so they can read it back to you.
Right,
And
right.
I feel like because these movies are so rushed, they never get to that stage.
Yeah, I agree.
And so they
Or it's
kind of
like whenever we were talking about like how they would just like come and tell her like you're a woman, you can't hunt. Like it felt like I don't know. It seemed like that might have even just been like a board decision where like someone came down and just like, go ahead and put something in there that's about her not being able to be a hunter because she's a woman and bring it up a bunch of times, please. Like it just felt
yeah.
like so like someone came in and told them to do it this way as opposed to like exploring it in like a more meaningful way, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And I wonder if it cuz it kind of felt, and I hope that I'm right about this, but it did kind of feel Americanized. Like when I was
Yeah.
reading it, I was like, were Comanche tribes like super sexist? Like I mean, I guess it would make sense, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know
I'm
they
not
had
sure
Yeah.
on
different.
that either.
They definitely had different gender dynamics than like the
Well,
northern
and
tribes.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
know that like Aztec tribes, the patriarchy wasn't really a thing. Like the women had as much rights as the men. Like they weren't warriors, but they could own stuff. And so I wonder if it's like, did you really study this to make sure that it's correct? Because it kind of feels like this is white people talking,
Yeah. Like it was like
or like
definitely a point that
America.
was made for the white audience at this
Mm-hmm.
point in time, yeah. Which is
Yeah.
exactly how Texas Chainsaw felt too, right?
Right.
Like all those plot points, it was just like, okay, these are the major things happening today. This is what everyone's yelling about on Twitter. So we'll go ahead
Right.
and add these things in there, like just
Yeah.
every once in a while to stay relevant. But then it just makes everything seem kind of hollow because nothing
Right.
really ever gets like discussed.
Yeah, and I think like if they had just narrowed it down and not made it so much about how she's like maybe like it's that she can't be a hunter because she's inexperienced and she's a little bit younger, which are both things that come up in the film and kind of
Yeah.
take out and like so she has to prove it to herself and the tribe without there being like men literally saying, "Oh, you can't do it." I think maybe that would have helped it kind of be more streamlined, you know?
Right. Yeah. Or at least like have them like be like, you can't go and like just like sneak away and go
Yeah.
on the hunt and like
You know,
they're
like maybe
really pissed off.
explore it a little more if you're really gonna do it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of in in the Batman. If you I don't know if you've seen it, but when Catwoman's like all the rich white men making the decisions, I'm like, that's interesting. Are you gonna follow up on that? No, just this one line of dialogue in a
Yeah.
3 hour film.
Which
Okay.
Yeah.
ones? All of
Yeah. I feel like they do that every time with Catwoman because in The Dark Knight Rises, like she's set up as like, oh, you're gonna ask yourself how you could survive in your prisms for so long, you know, and then she just falls in love with Bruce Wayne and doesn't. It never comes up again. You know?
yeah. Sorry.
She's like, ah, 1%, 12%, who cares? I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and I think overall it's good. It's just like I just wanted it to be better. And I do, and I think
Mhm.
maybe one of the things is I think the director could have made it better if he had just spent more time with it and really like streamlined it.
Yeah, I think so. It just felt too all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, that's why we're here. And like on our
Yeah.
podcast exclusive, we're always a little bit more like these are our initial thoughts. So maybe we'll watch it in a year and be like, actually, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I just watched this like literally 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched it at
same.
four
So
in
it's
the
just like
morning.
yeah, yeah.
So, but
All
yeah,
right.
hope you guys had a good time. We are going to. Oh, it's August, so more guests, and then we'll do our countdown to Halloween. But yeah, come back next time on the Bomb Squad.
Bow.
Thanks for watching the Bomb Squad. Please, while you're here, give us a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it, and it means a lot.